Hello, my name is Tom Higgins, and I am an instructor at Illinois Central College, currently teaching our criminal justice internship, criminal law, administration of justice, and criminal procedure and evidence, amongst other courses. If you're watching this, I've asked you to watch it as part of your orientation to those courses and our programs in law and justice. A little background about myself. Like you, I was once a student in one of those courses I just listed and many others here at Illinois Central College. I earned my degree in police science. That is the precursor to our law enforcement degree, if any of you are in the law enforcement program. I then earned a bachelor's degree in administration of criminal justice from Bradley University. It was while at Bradley that I started working for what was the Department of Public Safety, now Illinois Central College Campus Police. I worked for them as a cadet. Some of you may have an opportunity to do that as a student, and then was hired as an officer when I turned 21. I stayed in law enforcement and on that path, but decided to go to law school. I graduated from the John Marshall Law School in 1990. The John Marshall Law School is currently the University of Illinois Chicago School of Law. The University of Illinois bought the John Marshall Law School so years ago. So if you're looking for the John Marshall Law School, it no longer exists in name, but is very much there in the same location in the Loop in Chicago and part of the University of Illinois at Chicago. Some program history. Our programs were established initially as that police science program that I referenced in 1969, 2 years after the college opened. It was formed or originated. If you look over my shoulder here, you'll see that's the young me there in that photograph, and the gentleman sitting in the back of that picnic table with the tie on is Mr. Roy Wright. We referred to him as Doc. Doc was a police officer who became a lawyer. Police science was the predecessor, as I said, to law enforcement, or our law enforcement program that we know today. The more transfer-friendly criminal justice program came along some decades later in response to a national trend for bachelor degrees in criminal justice. The major difference between the two is that criminal justice, or that pathway, is more general with more sociology, criminology, and theory focus, and the law enforcement pathway is more technical and focused on providing some more practical aspects with required courses that are related to what the law is and how the law does or should be applied, as well as how things do or should work in the day-to-day operations in law enforcement. It's the two primary differences. At some point recently, and forgive me, I forgot the year, but it wasn't that long ago, we started a 911 dispatch program, and that came up more recently to help meet what is a continual need for quality and competent 911 dispatch personnel to help serve the public and public service agencies like police and fire departments. In addition, we have a legal studies program, and some of the students in these courses, other than the internship, will likely be legal studies students. That program developed in 1989. And it serves primarily people working in law firms for lawyers and in the court settings of supporting the courts. We've had from time to time other programs. We once had a separate corrections degree, which essentially was like the law enforcement degree, focused on people who were going into corrections. And we also had a private security program at one time. We refer to our current programs as public service programs because that is what we prepare you to do, to serve the public. These programs are one of the primary sources for law enforcement, jail, corrections, probation officers in central Illinois and this part of the state. In addition, our 911 grads are employed in this region, dispatching and directing the police, fire, emergency service calls that help serve and protect our region. And then, as I said, other students in this course or these courses are enrolled in one of our legal studies programs, and they're the primary source for legal assistants, paralegals, and other support positions in law firms, corporations, and governmental offices all over this region and across the country. These programs have graduates working all over the United States in many aspects of law and justice, from basic support level through judges, and we've even had former students as an appellate justice. There's no doubt that you now know or you have dealt with one of our graduates in some way in one of those areas. And if you have not, you will. So know that you're walking into what has been an established history of people who have served their communities in these areas and served them well. A lot of competent and good, well meaning public servants who have done these jobs, and you're going to get to join them. If you take a look at our webpage, icclaw.info, that's icclaw.info on the web, you'll see information about advisement, about jobs, about program specific links. If you haven't seen this site, I would invite you to pause this video and go to the site and look at the jobs posted and some of the resources linked to this site. Assuming you've done that, I want to take a little bit of time to talk to you about how you might get a career in law and justice. Let's talk a little bit about the tips that will help you be successful in this course and your program. Tips that will translate to being a successful police officer, probation officer, correctional officer, or wherever you end up in the law and justice system. Now, I do a separate one of these for the legal studies students, and they may in fact be watching this. And I slant that one a little bit towards their particular programs. And this I am putting more towards those folks who are in law enforcement, criminal justice, or 911. The first thing I'll say is from the moment you enroll in this course and through the day you walk out the door, as another of our successful graduates, we have one goal: to help you develop and know how to constantly improve your skills to be competent, confident, and employable. Improving and practicing your knowledge of the skills in the law is something you will need to do for your entire career. It's not something you one off and learn and then you don't think about it again. You will learn about procedural law and then update your knowledge of that procedural law as that law evolves, changes, or even stays the same. There's always going to be updates. You will update your skills. The fact of the matter is that you will be expected to grow continually, to work to acquire and develop knowledge and skills that will be expected of you in the workplace, and to put in the effort, every bit of effort necessary to become and then remain competent in your career. To that end, I'm going to give you some of the basic and most important expectations of students in our public service programs, expectations that we promise you will lead you to success in your career. The first one is professionalism. Now, what do I mean by professionalism? Well, most of the jobs that you hope to get after you earn our degree or certificate require that you take and uphold an oath to abide by and follow the constitutions and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois. It's not an if, it's a must. You raise your right hand. You do swear or affirm that you're going to do those things. If you've never seen somebody be sworn into one of those jobs, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. But you know, likely you're going to have people in your classes that are going to be sworn in. Ask them if you can go. It's pretty cool. Mr. Heuerman and I went to one of those ceremonies recently of a graduate of ours who just was sworn in and is now in the police academy. But to be clear, it's not an oops, sorry. It's not a oops, fired if you violate the oath. And I'm sure you've seen the examples of people in law enforcement, in particular, in other areas of the law and justice, who get in trouble. They get embarrassed. They lose their jobs. They put themselves in a bad place. They hinder their reputation. Sometimes they get charged with and convicted of a crime and sent to jail themselves because they violated this oath. If this is a career path you want to take, you need to start adopting the expectations for professionalism today. Now, some of that is just stopping with things that you may be doing now that you may not even think about, and that's okay. You know, I had this talk. I referenced Doc Wright. I had this talk. So did a bunch of my friends who seem to be retired now because we're all much older. But we all had this talk from Doc, which was essentially abide by the law. Start practicing that today. Work to avoid breaking the law. Be honest. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Don't do things you may be expected to arrest or cite other people for doing. If you're fortunate enough to land one of these positions in your desired career path, don't be doing those things. Stop doing them now. Wear your seatbelt. Don't speed. Don't be distracted driving. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't hang out with people who are committing crimes or bad acts. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it means you don't hang out with certain people who may be doing things that run contrary to the law. Sometimes it means you lose points in class because you forgot to do work on time and you don't make excuses or expect to pass. Sometimes it means you have consequences that may not be pleasant. But if you develop these traits now, these expectations of professionalism, you do that for yourself now. You begin today in this course and you carry those expectations forward, you will get a job. You will find and be successful in your career. You will find a job. I was on the Peoria Fire and Police Commission for a number of years as vice chair at one point. We hired a lot of police officers, a lot of firemen. If you're not familiar with that process, we'll make you very familiar and, in fact, give you some preparation in the internship course if you take the CRJ 201 course. But a lot of people get through the process. They're able to pass the physical agility test, they pass the written test, they get through the interview, and then they get hung up when they get to the polygraph or psychological or the background check because they have things in their recent past. They were doing things they shouldn't have been doing. They were hanging out with people they shouldn't have been hanging out with. Now, if you're doing that at a certain point, you know this is a career path for you, and you stop doing those things, and there's time and distance between that past activity or those past affiliations, those past contacts, well, then all you have to do is own up to it and say, you know, yeah, I smoked weed through high school and my first year of college, but I haven't done it since. And then that's the truth. You're okay. You may have taken something when you worked at an employer in high school or early college, stole something, but you haven't done anything like that since. You tell the truth, you're going to get through. There's rarely a perfect angel of a candidate in these careers. I was not one, and most people I know were not one. In fact, you may read or hear at some point in one of your classes that there's a small difference between somebody who goes the law enforcement route and somebody that goes the criminal route as far as their personality traits. But what I can tell you is you can make a choice to do these things and build the character and build the professionalism and meet those expectations for yourself now. And if you do that and you make a commitment to do these things, time and distance will be sure that even if you had things in your past, you should be able to get around those things because you've worked on your character, you developed the professionalism, you've developed these practices now. Experience has shown that students who work diligently to master and abide by those expectations for character for these fields they're able to get jobs, they have satisfying careers. So accept, adapt, and practice these things. Start working on those things now. The next one is organization. You have too many things coming at you in this course, in all the courses you have in your life with work, if you have family obligations, whatever. Too many things coming at you. And that's going to be the same in most public service jobs. You're going to work long hours in intensive situations. It's not a lot of sitting around. It's not a lot of time to process and think. People who are successful as students are successful in as graduates because they set aside the time to plan their work, to organize their work, to keep track of their work, to take notes, to keep a calendar. They make their deadlines, they make their appearances in court on time. They don't make apologies or excuses. You need to develop your own systems and methods for staying organized, but we'll give you some tried and true methods for doing so. And you'd be wise to begin adopting those methods during your time as a student. Experience has shown that students who use their calendar to create a to-do list, they update those to-do lists and they plan their time so that they're able to meet all of the various class assignments on time, that they have an easier and more successful transition to these very same expectations in law and justice careers. You're going to be expected to do things on time to the best of your ability. You're going to be expected to go to court on your day off to testify. If you don't have that on your calendar, nobody's going to be happy to hear your excuse. So start practicing those things now. One of the unique aspects of all of our public service career fields is that you're juggling many tasks at once. In law enforcement, as an example, you're often informed of your next potential case before you're cleared from the one you're on now. You're not even free of that call, and you already know where you're going next. If you're a probation officer, you may be sitting in your office and trying to prepare to testify in a pre-sentence hearing or working on a pre-sentence investigation report to be filed with the court, and you get a call that one of your probationers just got arrested for another crime. Rarely, if ever, do we find the time to focus on one task and complete that one task before being pulled to something else that we're expected to take care of. For this reason, you have to be flexible and multitask. It's a must-have skill for anybody in a public service career field. This reality makes organizing and prioritizing your assigned tasks, the things you're expected to do, absolutely vital. You can have multiple assignments in various classes, all different instructors, all different expectations. But the expectations are going to be that you complete those assignments to the best of your ability on time and with no excuses. So use a calendar, create and update a to-do list. Sorry, it's been a long, long day. Make the time to do the work, whatever that means. If it means you stay up late and you're drinking coffee early in the morning, do it. Make it sufficient time to do the work to the best of your ability. No last minute, half, you fill in the blank efforts. The type of work you know will be expected when you get to work in this field. And don't kid yourself. You can't treat the opportunity to learn and build your skill sets here like some high school assignment and then snap, you all of a sudden have the discipline and skills to meet the expectations on the job. And somehow you're going to be practiced and able to do your best with well-organized work on time once you get a paycheck. It's not how it works. You build those skills and expectations of yourself today, now, and experience has shown that students who prioritize and plan class assignments, they multitask and plan their time so they can meet all the expectations of a class, all the assignments on time to the best of their ability. You're going to have little trouble adapting to these expectations in the real world. You'll be successful after you graduate if you commit to doing these things now. Let's talk a little bit about communication. First, verbal. Anyone going into any of these careers is going to talk to a lot of people. You're going to talk to your coworkers, you're going to talk to citizens, you're going to talk to victims, you're going to talk to witnesses, you're going to talk to the accused suspects, you're going to talk to court personnel, you're going to talk to judges, prosecutors, defense lawyers. You're going to talk to a lot of different people about a lot of different things. And you have to have good people skills and communicate verbally very well. Eye contact, especially in these careers, practice active listening. Active listening is not only hearing what somebody says, but it's seeing what they say and it's noticing how they say it. You need to be prepared to document the details of every conversation you have with anybody, including the dates, times, who you talk to, all their information, how to find them after that conversation, the subject matter, and every detail of that conversation. So again, active listening. Practice, develop your active listening skills. You have to have good writing skills. Written communication is essential to every one of these careers. Most of this writing comes by way of reports that you are required to do every incident on a daily basis. Police officers, as an example, are expected to document every interaction and conversation with anyone they interact with in an official capacity. 911 dispatchers are documenting. Usually, I don't know how they do it, because if you ever go to the dispatch center, It's crazy how many screens and they're talking and typing at the same time. I couldn't do it, but they document every interaction, every second of their workday. They do it verbally and via the keyboard. And most every form of communication by any of you in your jobs will be subject to review by your supervisor and your peers at a minimum, and likely subject to cross examination in court by lawyers and heard by court personnel and reviewed by judges, both in the trial court and possibly all the way up the appellate chain. So take your time and plan and make these written communications something that will reflect well of you and accurately of the facts you seek to communicate. And the time to practice that, the time to work on the skill sets that will allow you to do that is now in these classes with the assignments that you're going to be required to post to get your grade. Formal professional communication is expected in these careers, and you have to accept that all of your work will be reviewed by someone else, and you will, in fact, end up reviewing the work of other people. So, regardless of your position, you have to be open to giving and receiving constructive comments. Your skin has to be a little thick, but you also have to be open to providing honest, constructive comments when you're reviewing the work of a coworker. If that work's not up to par, they're missing something, or you think they are. They don't have to agree with you, but if you think they are, tell them. And you want them to tell you because you don't want to be embarrassed later. You practice these expectations in class, and you will be expected to communicate in a professional manner in our classes. No emoji slang, informal text type talk. We use complete sentences, good grammar, spell check, proofread what you post before you post it. Don't just get in and no using the telephone or an iPad or something. Get a keyboard and a computer, or go to somewhere and you have available to you the ICC libraries if you ever have an issue with internet or lack of a computer. But own it and own it well, because experience has shown that students who work in class to meet those expectations in both areas of communication, verbal and written, you're going to find satisfaction in your career field. To that end, you're going to be expected to communicate with your instructors and fellow students in a way that allows you to practice these forms and formats of verbal and written communication. The types of communication will be expected of you once you graduate and you're employed. I want to wrap up with some comments about effort, and then I'll get into a little bit of introduction to how my courses are structured and what will be expected of you, and then I'll let you go. So, effort. I want to be frank. I want to be very clear. Effort has become a concern of mine. It's become commonplace for some students to expect to get extra credit when they don't even do the work. They want extra time when the work's turned in late, when the work's turned in despite failing to meet the expectations of the assignment, when the work's turned in and, quite frankly, clearly lacking effort when compared to the work done by students who demonstrated the effort to meet the expectations of the assignment on time and to the best of their ability. That ain't fair. It's not right, and it won't support you in your development towards a job in these careers. And quite frankly, that's not who we want to pay to be public servants. We don't want people putting in that kind of effort, and you don't want to work with somebody who's going to put in that kind of effort, because in my estimation and in my experience, you may be putting yourself at risk. It's just not acceptable here. It's not acceptable in these courses. It shouldn't be acceptable in these programs. And because it's not acceptable in the career fields that we support, or what the employers clearly want or do not want. They do not want that kind of effort. They want you to rise. So it's not acceptable. End of story, plain and simple, no discussion, debate, or excuses. If we don't do the work to the best of our ability in a required manner by the required deadline, we may cost somebody else something. It could be a citizen, a victim, the accused, a client. Cost them something of value, their life or liberty. We can get ourselves in trouble with our employer. We could get our employer in trouble with the public. We could be sued. We could face criminal prosecution, lose our career. So if you stay in this course and in this program, know this is an expectation. Know that we will be open to hearing excuses or requests for extensions when made with a reasonable notice about the times of excuses, needs, or concerns we would be willing to listen to and tolerate and work around or work with you over in an employment situation. So, verifiable illnesses, physical or mental health related issues, family emergencies, family needs or death, work or employment related issues, or military commitments. Again, these need to be verifiable. They need to be approved by the instructor, preferably before or at the time of whatever it is that's causing you to be unable to meet your obligation, not days after. That won't fly. Bottom line, if the law is a path you want to pursue, do things as we ask. Do them in the manner we suggest. Not because we said so, but because if you do that, you will earn the knowledge and skills that allow you to be successful in the course, but more importantly, down the road and well into your career. I've been teaching these courses since 1996. I've been mentoring, coaching, counseling, and helping students through these courses in our program since that time. I've been available to do the same for our graduates. And in fact, I stay in contact with and am available to our program graduates as they navigate through their own careers in law and justice. And I'm here to do the same for you. And you can go ask those people, some of whom are retired now, retiring ahead of me. I'm there for them and I'll be there for you. You can email me, you can call, you can set up a meeting, a time to discuss things by phone, virtually, or in person. And we can talk about this course, we can talk about the program, your career intentions, continuing your education, or anything related to your effort to be successful in this course, our programs, or your career. And it's your career. That's today, tomorrow, and God willing, 10 years from now. If you put in the effort and if you fulfill your commitment to this course and your chosen career path, I'm going to be available to you to help you in any way I can. Now, I want to just briefly tell you what I provide in my courses. There's a detailed syllabus that outlines the objectives of the course, and that's available on the course site. It sets the expectations for the course and the expectations to earn grades in the course, including typical weekly deadlines. Deadlines that you'll see apply to most weeks, except the first week where we have a shortened week typically, and we extend that week out. The final weeks of the course are typically different because of final exam schedules. And then sometimes we have holidays or other breaks like fall break or spring break or holidays like Martin Luther King Day sometimes comes along in the first day of class or what would be the first day of the semester. So we start on a Tuesday as an example. During those times, the deadlines might be different, but I'll provide that information. And if you're logging into the course, participating in the course on a regular basis, you're not going to have any problem meeting those or any other deadlines. The syllabus also provides the topics to be covered each week of the course and the reading expectations that may be either referenced in this section of the syllabus or provided in the assignment form for a particular week of the course. For these courses, the courses you'll have from me that are CRJ courses, there is no textbook cost. You are welcome. I'm not going to make you buy a book. I provide either documents or links or direct you to free reading materials that are available through our ICC library. The syllabus provides a reference to the course topic for each given week, but you have to be willing to read, sometimes find, and then master that law that I lead you to. Everyone in this class, regardless of your desired career path, will be expected to take the initiative to find, read, and know the law and stay current on any changes in the law for your entire career. So you're going to practice and build those skills here and now in this course. In addition, I provide guidance, clarification, and feedback. I provide guidance initially by way of podcasts that I create each week and post linked to the course site. I expect you to listen to the podcast in conjunction with the assigned reading and make time to do both. The reading should be done first, and it provides a base, and the podcast provides guidance and clarification. Think of the podcast as a classroom lecture you're familiar with from a traditional course. The difference is that if you do the prep work of the assigned reading, the podcast is to the point, often with examples and insights that help clarify and guide you towards mastering the content so you can complete whatever the assignment is that week. If you don't do both, if you don't do the reading and then listen to the podcast, you're going to be lost in the assignment. Just the way it is. I also provide you feedback in three primary ways. First, after all students have made an initial post for the assignment, I typically post my own detailed response to the assignment that I gave you for that week, so you can read what my thoughts are in detail about those same answers. You're also able to read the answers of all the other students after you post your post. Second, where necessary, I may make a specific comment for all students or to an individual student within the forum. Sometimes that's because somebody did an excellent job and made a point that everybody should pay attention to. Sometimes it's because one or more of you are off track and I'm trying to draw you back where you need to be. Sometimes, it's for other reasons. And then third, on large projects, I make my comments to you individually in the grade book, and there's a little link that appears by the grade for that particular week or assignment, and you'll click on that and be able to read the comments. But I want to be clear. I can't do the work for you. I can't put in your time. I can't earn your credentials. I can't do the things to earn the experience you can put yourself out there to earn through this course or our internships or our programs or your initial jobs in these career fields. I already did all that. I can't do it for you. Nobody did it for me, but I will be more than happy to help you do the same. And in fact, it's what I'm here for. It's what my mission is. I want to see you succeed. To that end, I provide a map for you to get through this course, and I will help you learn a topic, develop a skill, or find an internship or job. I provide advice for preparing for the career in general, interviewing, for testing, for preparing for the physical agility tests, the written tests, the interviews, polygraph, psychological, whatever. I help you prepare to get into the career, into the job, and then I'm also here, and I hope to stay here for a long time, to help you move through that job and on to other jobs in the field. I'm in regular contact with the employers for these programs. I stay up on the developments, on the law, on the skills, on the things that are happening within these careers with my graduates, with our former students, with the people who want to take you as an intern or hire you as an officer. I post internships and jobs, and I coach and mentor students towards those internships and jobs. And I'll do whatever I can for you to be successful. But just as the case was when Doc Wright did the same things for me many years ago, the opportunities that will come your way and what you do with those opportunities is a direct reflection on the time and effort you put into this course and every course in your program, including courses outside of our areas, the English, the biologies, whatever. Do your best. So there you have it. Go to the course, log in, read the syllabus, get the due dates for week 1 and all the 16 weeks in your calendar, and get to work. And as you'll hear me say weekly in my podcast, at the close of each podcast, if you need me, you know where to find me. Take care.